In the entangled web of comedic critique, Hasanabi, akin to an erudite jester of the digital realm, casts his discerning gaze upon the way Chapelle's latest opus.
Shipping, do you think? I have no idea. Chapelle new special is actually really good. I think Chapelle's new special is better than his prior ones, but he's still on his old bull. I suspect that there won't be as much chatter on it though, because like at a certain point, it's gonna get to it's too one note. You know what I mean? Like the more he hyper focuses as a stubborn old guy on people, the worse it gets. And it's taken him like 5 years and what 6 specials to like come up with any good jokes, and he still has not like dropped a decent amount of trans jokes in general, which there are plenty of. Like I saw something earlier today about a trans man being misogynistic, and then someone quote tweeted them on Twitter and were like don't forget your factory settings or something. That's what this person quote tweeted them with, which is like on the edge of edgy for sure, right? But that's like a good joke. It is. It's like, how are you going to be a trans man who's like, don't forget your factory settings, is like, depending on who's saying it and how they're saying it, is like, depending on who's saying it and how they're saying it and how they're delivering it, is like not a bad joke. You know what I mean? So if there's a capability out there of like making jokes that are good and funny, right? And it still teeters on the edge of like, depending on who's saying it or how they're saying it, it's gonna be received differently. Anyway, watched the special and it was so bad. Lol, I watched for the Taylor Thomas special last year and it was so much better. Yeah, I mean, I think like this Dave Chappelle special was a little bit better than prior ones, but like it's just still nowhere near as. It's still nowhere near as good as like any of his good work. Like it's just so sad. He is absolutely making he's just making material for reactionary dads at this point, which is kind of sad. And it's not necessarily just like reactionary white dads, right? Just reactionary people. And that is it's a thing that I've brought up quite a bit, which is you can't look for applause when you're doing comedy. You have to look for laughter. And the moment that you're seeking out applause is the moment that you've lost. Anyway, is he still trying to be Carlin? I mean, that's like the thing. Carlin would never do that. And I'm going to actually talk about Norm specifically, right? Because he brought up Norm in his special. It's fascinating how a master of the craft encountered a topic he can't excel with, because there is a fundamental flaw. A good comedian who is brilliant, intelligent, insightful, sharp, witty, can tackle any issue. Because there's something that you can draw out of. There's humor that you can draw out of in every subject matter. Not Norm Finkelstein chatters. That's funny. Norm Macdonald. Does anyone have a meme for the blast off chat or not? Norm was a conservative for sure, but he was also hilarious. I think people misunderstand Norm. I'm not like his biggest fan, I will admit, personally. But I don't think he was like, oh, all right, hold on. Let's do this. Let's blast off. Okay. Swear jar ready and waiting? No swear jar. But I will not be swearing in general, so don't worry. Norm says some stuff. You could literally take zero malice or hate in his words. That's why he was great. I like that I read the chatter who said up right, and I blurred out in my mind the word but forgot the F word. Anyway, it's hard. Chat is cursing too much. I've realized that like it's a Ouroboros. I curse a lot, so then chat curses a lot, and then I read chat and I curse a lot, which leads chat to curse more, and that's not good. Honestly, this is not good at all. This is a never-ending cycle of cursing. No more no words, no more bad words. I'm not blaming chat, I'm blaming myself. Everything that the chat does is a reflection of the streamer. I recognize that, I know that, I understand that, okay? It's something that I personally feel is my responsibility to manage.
Like an alchemist distilling humor from the cauldron of contemporary discourse, Hasanabi, with the precision of a surgical wit, dissects the comedic anatomy of Chapelle's new special. He concedes that this comedic offering, while superior to its predecessors, flounders in the shadow of repetitiveness, akin to a melody endlessly echoing through the corridors of comedic expression. Hasanabi, in a symphony of nuanced disapproval, takes aim at Chapelle's thematic fixation, particularly the trans jokes that traverse the fine line between edgy brilliance and the treacherous waters of redundancy. With the finesse of a linguistic acrobat, Hasanabi pirouettes through the comedic landscape, landing on a Twitter-found gem, a joke that, in its edginess, becomes a rare beacon in the comedic cosmos. Yet, the disappointed undertones permeate Hasanabi's analysis, a disheartened maestro lamenting the diminuendo of Chapelle's comedic crescendo. The assertion that Chapelle's material panders to reactionary sensibilities, irrespective of racial affiliations, is akin to a critique of a maestro who, having once conducted a harmonious symphony, now flirts with dissonant chords that resonate more with the reactionary gallery than the aficionados of refined comedic art. In the kaleidoscopic panorama of Chapelle's special, Hasanabi, ever the vigilant curator of comedic sensibilities, espouses the gospel of seeking laughter over applause. It's a resonant maxim, a comedic sermon that reverberates through the hallowed halls of stand-up, reminding comedians that the pursuit of genuine mirth transcends the ephemeral applause that panders to fleeting sentiments. The mention of Norm Macdonald in this comedic odyssey adds a layer of complexity. Hasanabi, akin to an art connoisseur appraising a surrealist masterpiece, acknowledges Norm's ability to transcend political spectra with humor, despite his conservative views. This appreciation, bathed in the chiaroscuro of ideological diversity, is a nod to the transcendence of humor beyond the restrictive boundaries of political partisanship. This clash, like a comedic tempest, raises questions about the adaptability of humor across generations and unveils a narrative where the echoes of bygone jests meet the stinging rebukes of the present. The younger generation, perched on the precipice of progress, often castigates older comedians for what they see as a failure to synchronize their comedic compass with the magnetic pull of modernity. It's a critique that reverberates in the digital chambers where memes are traded like currency, and cancel culture looms as a mythical Cerberus guarding the gates of political correctness. In this theater of critique, the charge is often led by the accusation of tone deafness, an allegation that older comedians, once maestros of laughter, are now stumbling over the ever-changing codes of societal nuances. The younger audience, voraciously consuming content in the form of TikToks, podcasts, and Twitter witticisms, demands a comedy that mirrors the kaleidoscopic spectrum of contemporary life. The mantle of criticism also drapes itself around the notion of punching down, a term wielded by the younger generation like a moral cudgel. The scrutiny intensifies when older comedians, accustomed to jesting in an era where certain topics were granted comedic immunity, find their material scrutinized under the modern microscope of social consciousness. The younger audience, champions of social justice, demands humor that doesn't merely tickle funny bones, but does so without trampling on the sensitivities of marginalized groups. Yet, in this cacophony of intergenerational comedic discord, there exists an undercurrent of nostalgia, an acknowledgement that the humor of yesteryear, with its irreverence and audacity, holds a timeless charm. The critique, while robust, is often nuanced with the recognition that comedy, like a fine wine, matures with age, and the older jesters, even if perceived as out of tune, carry the weight of comedic history on their shoulders. This generational comedic clash is, at its core, a negotiation of cultural evolution. The older comedians, stalwarts of a bygone comedic era, grapple with a stage where the rules of engagement have metamorphosed. The younger audience, guardians of the ever-evolving comedic lexicon, demands a discourse that is reflective of their pluralistic worldview. In navigating this comedic labyrinth, there's room for dialogue, where the seasoned humorists and the emerging jesters engage in a dialectic dance. It is a conversation that transcends mere criticism, weaving a narrative where the laughter of yesterday intersects with the sensibilities of today, birthing a comedic amalgamation that is both reflective and progressive. Yet, even in the critique of others, Hasanabi turns introspective. The acknowledgement of his own linguistic proclivities, an admission of a desire to curtail the torrent of expletives in his digital amphitheater, reflects a maestro taking responsibility for the sonic resonance of his comedic symphony. The understanding that the streamer's conduct shapes the very atmosphere of the stream is a sagacious revelation, an acknowledgement that the conductor wields the baton that directs the comedic vibrations within the digital concert hall. In the grand comedic opera, Hasanabi, with the sagacity of a comedic sage, offers a melodic critique that transcends mere laughter. It is an invitation to reflect, to question, and to appreciate the nuances of the comedic tapestry. The digital realm, with its endless corridors of discourse, becomes a stage where comedians, like Shakespearean actors, don the mantle of jesters to illuminate the human condition with laughter, introspection, and the ceaseless pursuit of the sublime comedic aria.